Oh, hey, how's it going, YouTube, Facebook, wherever, Vimeo, Instagram. We're not on Vimeo, but we are on Instagram at Myke Clements and at Allison B C, I think. Is that mommy's Instagram? I don't know. Anyways, there's always links in the description down below. It's a great day today. It's a January day. It's cool, but it's not cold, and it's not hot, but it's a little warm, so it's kind of like that, just like gorgeous day. Now I'm taking Olivia, and we're gonna go to the grocery store. We're just gonna walk there and get some ingredients for dinner. I have no idea what we're gonna make, like zero idea. We're just gonna walk around and see kind of what inspires us, and then I'm gonna throw something together, because that's kind of what I like to do. I like to just put something together. I hate cooking out of a cookbook or with a recipe. That's just not my favorite thing to do. So let's see here. Why don't you come with me? So I've been in the store about 10 minutes. You know what I just realized? I didn't grab a basket. So I should probably grab one of those.
Joe, please ask up for Mrs. Joe.
Can you watch that? Can you watch it? That's actually the cool thing about this stroller that we have. It's the Contours Options Elite Tandem Stroller, or whatever it is. There's actually a lot of storage space on it. So if you take just one child to the store, you have room for your basket, which is cool. So first thing that we're gonna talk about or think about is, what is our protein going to be? Are we gonna do pork, poultry, beef, lamb, or quick meals? Although that's not really a protein. That's a full, complete meal. All right, Olivia, do you want apricot, grape, or cherry? Well, you don't get a choice. You get grape. I still don't know what we're gonna cook. Probably not chicken. Maybe not beef. Yeah, maybe beef. So I think we're gonna go pork shoulder. Buy one, get one free. Maybe make some tacos. So we're gonna do pork tacos. And my parents have a recipe for it, and that's what we make for Christmas every year. You've seen it in our Christmas 2018 vlog. But I kind of want to just wing it, so I don't necessarily want to make exactly that. Olivia's kind of losing it, so we're just going to finish up shopping, and then we're going to head home. So we are back home, and both the girls went to sleep because we found it's easier to eat and cook dinner when the girls are asleep, because as soon as we're in the kitchen, Olivia's like, hey, I want to party, and she'll walk in and
want to help.
So we're gonna go ahead and get started, but first I need to get ready. I need to get my apron on. So alrighty, so got my Captain America apron that Allison got me years ago. We think it was for her birthday.
I don't remember. I think it was definitely our first year of marriage.
Yeah, so within our first year of marriage, she got me this apron. It's a Captain America apron. It's been featured on the Instagram page, a couple of times. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with cooking. So we are making pork shoulder tacos. Got this at the grocery store, buy one get one free, so we'll probably have it again, with a tomato, cilantro, and onion garlic sauce. That'll be pretty cool. So first things first, we're gonna get our cilantro prepped. And I've already kind of peeled some of the cilantro. Now this is kind of a cool thing about cilantro, or a thing that not many people do, is that it comes as this, like when you get a bunch of cilantro, it's like, 3 leaves and then a stem. The stem, is nice, and a lot of people just take it and just mash it in the food processor, and that's when they put in their pico de gallo. But this is a technique that I learned from my dad. We're actually just gonna remove the stems, and we're just gonna use the leaves, because that's where you get the most flavor, and it's also where you don't get it doesn't get stringy. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna kind of peel these leaves off, just pluck them, and we're gonna add them to a bowl, one by one. It's a time-consuming process. However, it is totally worth it. And so then we're gonna go ahead and chop that up just really nice and fine. So a quick note about my knife. This is just a standard chef's knife. I'm really not sure of the brand. We got it for our wedding. I think we put it on a registry from Crate and Barrel. You don't need that many knives. Like, you can go to IKEA or Target or any other store and get a knife kit, and you really don't need them. For anything chopping or slicing of meat, you just want a normal non-serrated blade. The reason you would need a serrated blade is if you're cutting bread. It's super helpful for that, but I don't really cut bread, and we have a couple of serrated knives here, so I'm just gonna use this one knife. I like to keep it sharp. I have a knife sharpener because, fun fact, the most dangerous knife is actually a dull knife, because when your knife is dull, you apply way too much pressure and you run the risk of cutting yourself even more. If it's a sharp knife, then it just cuts through like butter, and you don't have to worry about applying extra pressure other than what's necessary, what you would normally apply. So we're just gonna go ahead and dice up or chop up this cilantro. So we got that nice and chopped up nice and fine, and we're just gonna put this back in the bowl. So now we have our cilantro all nice and freshly chopped. And I'm gonna finish this garlic. So I started this garlic earlier, and I'm gonna give you a nice little technique for helping you peel garlic, because if you get in and try to get the outer layer off, it's just a pain in the butt. And so this is a technique that a lot of professional chefs use, as well as you'll see it on the Food Network and stuff. But basically, we just take our knife and we just press take the flat edge of our knife and we just press it on the garlic, and that's going to smash it, and then we can just easily pull off all of our outer layer. And so then I'm going to take that and I'm going to chop it. Now it is time to take our onion that we got at the store that we talked about. That there's 3 kinds of onions. There are white, yellow, and red. It used to be that white was my favorite. However, I've really started appreciating the red onion. The yellow and the white onions just don't have the same level of kind of sweetness that a red onion can add to a dish. Every time I cut onions over here, it gets me. Sorry about that. I got by the onion. Not fun when your eyes are burning. In terms of our sauce, we have our cilantro, we have our onion, we have our garlic, and then the majority of the sauce is going to be made up from diced tomatoes and tomato sauce. The next major component that we need to prepare is in fact our pork shoulder. What I like to do is to prep everything that we're going to be cooking before we even turn on the oven. Unless we're baking and we need to preheat the oven to 450 degrees, I'll go ahead and get that started before I start cooking. However, if we're just cooking on a stovetop, which is what we're doing today, and today's recipe is actually going to be like a 2-pan dinner. One to cook the meat and the sauce and everything all together, and then the other to fry the tortillas. That's about it. So I like to prep everything so that we can just, when we actually get to the point where we're going to start applying heat to things, we can just keep going, and we're not multitasking and bouncing back and forth, back and forth. So I've got our pork shoulder, which is a bone in because that's what was on sale. It was buy one, get one free. I already said that. So we're going to take it. And first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate the meat from the bone. Now, you'll probably notice that I'm not taking off all the fat because we do want some of that fat in the mix. But for the most part, we want our chunks to be nice and mostly just protein and not have like a crazy amount of fat. So if there's a little bit on it, you can just kind of leave it as it is. We've made a version of this for years for Christmas. This isn't that version because I don't have that recipe and I didn't want to bug my parents about grabbing it, so I'm just kind of winging it at this point. But this started out as a steak taco dish that my grandmother used to make, but she could save money on the dish by getting pork because pork is generally cheaper than beef. So it became pork steak tacos, even though there isn't really such a thing as pork steak. So now we're going to season our pork, and for me, I like to just season with salt and pepper. Now there's a whole, you go down the spices aisle and there's all sorts of spices that you can look at and you can try and all that stuff, but really you only need 3 spices. You need salt, pepper, and garlic powder. And with that, you can do so many creative and tasty dishes. So I'm just going to take that and mix that all up in our bowl. So we have prepped everything that we needed prepped, and now we're ready to start cooking. So we're going to go ahead and move on over to the stovetop and get cooking on this meal. And we're going to get a nice flame going, and we're going to go ahead and get our pan hot. So once those onions are nice and browned for the most part, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add our pork, our diced pork, and we're going to let that cook. Now once the meat has fully cooked, we're going to take our diced tomatoes and we're going to add those, as well as our tomato sauce and about a half a can of water. Then we're going to add about 3/4 of our chopped cilantro. And then we're just gonna let that tomato sauce and water reduce until it gets nice and thick. Okay, so while that is simmering and reducing, we're gonna go ahead and we are going to fry up our tortillas. So I'm gonna go ahead and add oil to a pan. Gonna get that nice and hot, and then we're gonna go ahead and start frying these suckers up. And essentially what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and let those corn tortillas, the king size that we got earlier, I'm gonna let them fry, not very long. Make sure we drain the oil. And then I'm going to place them still hot, folded, so that they can cool and harden up and crispy up. Okay, once your sauce is nice and thick, then we're going to go ahead and turn off the heat and remove it from the heat. And just kind of let it cool down a bit so it doesn't, you know, burn your mouth when you take a bite. Once the sauce and meat concoction has cooled, we're going to go ahead and just spoon that into our taco shell. And then we're going to top it with just a little bit of cheese, and we're going to garnish it with some cilantro. And then we're done.